on the issues. So with that, will our candidates please come forward and have a seat next to your name tag?
What if they take the wrong seat?
Bob wants to know what they take if they take the wrong seat. I'll move the tags. We trust that they each know their names. Okay, this is the Republican primary. These are just 3 of the candidates. The others who were not able to attend today. We have me, Treadwell, former Lieutenant Governor. Welcome, me. We have Michael Sheldon also joining us on the Republican primary. And Mike Dunleavy. And Mike, we'd like you to start with your 2-minute opening remarks. Please just take the microphone. Mike Dunleavy, if you'll start, please. And we'll just pass it to your right.
Can you hear me?
Hear me now.
Clear? Well, it's great to be here on a beautiful day on the Kenai. And good to see a number of folks that I know, and hope to get to meet some new folks. So my name is Mike Dunleavy. I'm running for governor as a Republican, obviously. And I came to the state of Alaska in 1983 as a young man out of Pennsylvania, and came up hot on the heels of what was the Carter years down in the lower 48 when interest rates were 24%. You could get a interest on your bank account at 14%, and there were no jobs in the lower 48. But before then, I always wanted to come to Alaska. Always wanted to come up here, liked hunting and fishing, so I decided right out of college to head up. Went to Southeast Alaska where it was booming at the time. Lots of jobs, oil was ramping up, it wouldn't reach peak production until 1989. And then eventually I migrated out to Northwest Alaska where I was an educator for almost 20 years. The reason I bring this up is when I went to a picnic on July 4th of '83, 20 people were there and they were all making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. The place was so optimistic, Alaska was. 2 years ago I went to a picnic. People are making $35,000 a year, $40,000 a year. And we know we can do better in the state of Alaska. We have the opportunities, we have the resources. If we just pull them together under the right policies, under the right leadership, we can put Alaska back to work again and solve a lot of our problems. We lead the country in crime. We have some of the worst outcomes in education. We have a highest unemployment rate in the country. It doesn't have to be this way. And that's the message I want to leave to Alaskans. We don't have to be this way. We can put ourselves back to work, pull ourselves out of this issue, and be the state we know we can be. So with that, it's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to the forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I also want to introduce our timekeeper from the Kenai Chamber of Commerce, the lovely Jonna Beach. She is the one who will give you the, is it a 15-second warning, Mark? Okay, and then when the red sign comes up, please stop or I will have to rudely interrupt you. So, Michael Sheldon, your 2-minute opening remark, please.
Yes, my name is Michael Sheldon. I was born in Petersburg, Alaska. My mother was born in Cake, Alaska. My father was born in Wrangell. My mother is full-blooded Tlingit, so that makes me Tlingit. My father is also Tlingit and French and Danish. The reason why I stood up to become governor of Alaska is because of Walker's veto. That was one of the main reasons. Another one is the crime of aborting our babies in the state. And another one is our budget, downsizing the government. I think it's important that we downsize government. We bring the people back into the picture, privatize land. We can build railroads, we can build bridges, we can do a lot of things for the state of Alaska. We need to set aside money to do that. I think that this state is in a crisis, and it's not the state government that's in a crisis, it's the people that's in a crisis. Our government is, under the Walker administration, has fictitiously set a budget that's over budgeted, and it's not true. We have more money than we can shake a stick at. They're looking at $54 a barrel, we're at $80 a barrel now, so there's a big difference. Also our stock market, ever since the Honorable President Trump was elected, as soon as he swore into office, the stock market has been climbing and climbing and climbing. Now that's a great thing. We need a president like that. And as governor of Alaska, I will work with our President Trump, and we will try to figure out what we can do to help the state grow. The state is leaning more on the lower 48 than it should be. We're a sovereign state in the union. Alaska is one of 50 states. We need to protect our compact, the 90-10 split. It's really important that we stick to that compact. If we move away from it, I think we're in trouble, just like we did with ANWR with the 50-50 split. anyway, we'll get more into it as we go through this time, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael Sheldon and Meade Treadwell. 2-minute opening remarks, please.
Hi, I'm Meade Treadwell, and I understand you're looking for a new governor. I joined the race because we need a businessman, somebody with business experience, who can actually make the deals this state needs to make to fill the pipeline. Make the deals the state needs to make with the federal government to make sure that if we ever got another Obama as president, we don't have them giving us death by 1,000 cuts on our economy, as we all experienced. We need somebody who can make sure that Alaska keeps its promises. Bill Walker broke the promise on the PFD, and he also kicked the can on paying the oil tax incentives for 4 years now. 4 dry drilling seasons, no drilling seasons, lost drilling seasons on the North Slope, where we all worked together to change our oil tax structure to be more competitive. And they found oil, and now we've got to drill it out and put it in the pipeline. We need somebody who can lead the fights, and I've worked with governors who know how to lead fights, and I've worked with governors who are kind of quiet. And I'll just say, we got to know that we're in the fight. We got to know that we're in the fight to cut the budget. We got to know that we're in the fight to tackle domestic violence, sexual assault, the opioid crisis, which is killing all of us, have family members and friends who have been affected by this one way or the other. We have to know we've got somebody in the fight to not export jobs. And when I talk about exporting jobs, I urge you to read what's on your table. It's a piece we published in the paper recently that talks about all the jobs we're exporting to Seattle, to Texas, to China, even to Russia, because we're not standing up for jobs in Alaska. I'm somebody who's worked with people in the Kenai Peninsula for all of my career. I was out ahead of Sean Parnell to say that we needed to go for AKLNG and go back into that. I worked with Mike Chenault on that, and I promise you, we are going to win in world markets. We're going to not fold our tent. We're not going to be so polite to Washington that we keep losing things, and I'd be honored to serve as your governor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that nice applause, I'm going to ask that we don't applaud after each candidate's answer to the question so that we can move and get to as many of these questions as we can. The first one will be for Meade Treadwell, and this will be a 60-second response, please. As the state seeks to reduce its operating budget, which areas should be looked at first for reduction, and how much do you think needs to be cut from the operating budget?
The amount that we have to cut from the operating budget depends on how successful we are in raising revenue. Getting oil into the pipeline, where I said we've kicked the can. Building up our industries so that we have people paying a corporate income tax here. But I think we have to aim for several $100 million of cuts in the operating budget and quit hitting our savings accounts. The 3 largest general fund items are Department of Education, Department of Health and Social Services, Department of Corrections. And the way I would go about this is look at the outputs we're getting for our inputs, because we're not getting the education we pay for. Of the 100 ninth graders who start this month, only 76 of them will graduate at current rates. Corrections are not corrected. Health, Bill Walker has added big logs to the fire, and we have the most expensive health care in the world, according to the head of Primera. Those are the 3 areas which we've got to work intensively.
Okay, thank you. And Michael Sheldon, in the operating budget, which areas should be looked at first? And specifics about how much cut in the operating budget?
I would say probably a 10% cut. That's what I think we should do, because we never had a cut for a very long time, so I think it'd be important that we do that. What I would do is I'd ask every commissioner that's under our agency to take a cut. All I'm asking is to take 1 pencil out of 10 and make that cut. Also, our administration should have a cut also. There's 24 agencies under our administration that needs to make that a huge cut. The reason why I say that is because the number 1 agency is receiving, one person is receiving $700,000 a year. Now the one number 24 is receiving $300,000 a year. Now just think about that, the personnel underneath them, the per diem and so forth and so on. That'd be a huge cut. I think it's important we do that, and the other cuts we make, it'll be good for the state and it'll be good for downsizing government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Dunleavy, on the operating budget, where and how much?
So the operating budget is really the issue for the state of Alaska. If we don't get the operating budget under control, we're not gonna have a capital budget, we're not gonna be able to grow the state of Alaska, and we're gonna be forced into looking at taxes and taking the PFD, taxes on the industry, taxes on individual Alaskans. So what we need to do is ramp that operating budget down and contain it at about 2% growth a year, somewhere in the neighborhood of $4.3 billion, $4.1 to $4.3 billion. If we do that, we can service that budget with the fees and the monies we bring into the CBR, the Constitutional Budget Reserve, about $80-some million a year. While doing that, we got to get the fines on the slope into the pipeline. As you saw in the paper this morning, the Willow